Could you please introduce yourself?
My name's Dick Valentine. I'm in a band called Electric Six. We're from Detroit.
Okay, Electric Six, Detroit. That's a very famous name for a band, I guess.
Yeah, we've had our share. We're just a small blip on the radar. I think it's helped us being from Detroit. We've definitely benefited from being part of a scene. I don't think we sound like a lot of Detroit bands, but at the same time, if we weren't from Detroit, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Maybe you can tell something about the history of the band, just in short, for our listeners. Most of them aren't that familiar with the band. So.
For sure. We started in 1996, late 96, and we basically played as a local band in Detroit while we had these really depressing day jobs in offices and stuff for 5 years. We were just kind of existed because there wasn't anything else to do in our lives. None of us were married. None of us had kids. We just kind of worked jobs and got together on weekends to play rock and roll, and that's all we had in our dismal lives. So that's what kept the band going for 5 years without a record deal. Then one day we got a record deal, and we started touring. About 3 months into touring, 3 of the guys lost their minds. So they quit, and we got 3 new guys on board, and then now we've got the band that we've kind of wanted to have for a while. And now this is our job. This is what we do as a living. So we treat it as such. And now we're finally out of Detroit and touring the Benelux region.
Yeah. You must have a lot of patience to break through, I guess, or just to get that record deal. That isn't that obvious to most bands. It helps to know the White Stripes. That was a big part of it. Jack did a really good job of not just us, but once they kind of made a name for themselves, they kind of made sure that everybody from the Detroit rock and roll scene got their day in court, so to speak. He made sure that every band was pretty much looked at, and said, hey, this is a great band, this is from Detroit, blah, blah, blah. So, it's not just us. You look at Whirlwind Heat or, the Von Bondies, bands like that. That's pretty much directly tied to the White Stripes, kind of taking off. Mm-hmm. And famous names like the Stooges, for instance. Yeah,
it goes. Even Motown and everything. I think the common theme is that it's a flat, dreary, cloudy, snowy, rainy town. There's nothing to do in Detroit. There never has been. There never will be. You have to create your own fun. So you can either,
nothing to do.
There's nothing to do there. We've got a restaurant or two, we've got a movie theater, but yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's the middle of Antarctica, but at the same time, we don't have any roller coasters, we don't have any, nobody's got jobs, nobody has any money, so yeah, you have to create. There's a lot of artists and musicians in Detroit because it's a cheap place to live. So people like us who don't really generate a lot of income can live there and continue doing it. And B, it's just a very supportive town for that sort of thing. So I think that's why historically you've seen a lot of just amazing music come out of our town.
And maybe you got a lot of room to practice because in Detroit you have a lot of car industry and that kind of stuff, but also you got a lot of room, a lot of old factories to play, I guess. I
hear you. It's funny. You go around the world, to bigger cities, and bands have to pay to get a rehearsal space. And in Detroit, we just have so much space, so many abandoned warehouses, blah blah blah. You practice in your basement. You can practice anywhere. It's super affordable to be in a band in Detroit. You don't have to have any money, and none of us really did. So.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about the music because I hear a lot of people about your debut album. Are you satisfied with the result till so far, or is that true?
Oh yeah, we were a band for 5 years who, the furthest we'd ever gone was Cleveland, Ohio. So for us to have top 5 hits in the UK and to have a presence around the world like we've had, we got no complaints. Sure, you could always be bigger, but I'm not complaining at all.
Was it also the first time that you come here in Amsterdam? Or?
We played Holland in January of this year. That was that was kind of the first month we were on tour. We played the Paradiso that month, and it was a nice little show. There's maybe 150 people there, and just kind of it was our first tour like away from America. We played here a month ago at another festival, but this is the big festival, the one we're about to do. So I kind of think that for Holland at large, this will kind of be our debut.
Okay, and because maybe you can tell something in short, something about the realization process of that album, or
oh yeah. Well, like a lot of bands, like they do their first record. If you've been around a while, the first record's always just kind of your greatest hits. Yeah. So that's what it is. I mean, I would say like, a song like Gay Bar is a song we played at our very first show 6 years ago. So I mean that's a really old song. And then there's a few songs that are maybe kind of in the mid-range, and then like a song like Improper Dancing was written like 4 months before we recorded the record. So it's kind of like a third of it is brand new, a third of it is really old, and a third of it is kind of in between. So yeah, it's just the first record's the easiest to make, I think, because you don't really have any expectations, and you've got the material. So it's the second record that we're all kind of looking forward to and really want to get to. So.
And, in the Gay Bar was pretty successful. I've heard from a couple of guys. And is it just where is it lyric wise? What kind of themes? Is just a funny theme, I guess. In the Gay Bar, is it just was it autobiographical? You end up in a gay bar? Or?
No, the song it's about absolutely nothing. The song took 3 minutes to write. You don't really think about anything when you're writing it, and if you don't have a record deal, and if you don't think your band's ever going to go anywhere, you can write songs. You can write the songs, any way you want, because in your mind they're never going to go anywhere anyway. Right. So that's kind of how that came about. You just kind of throw it down, and there's your song. And if you're lucky, it'll actually, people will actually want to listen to it. So I mean, that's kind of how it worked out for us. When I write a song, the thing is, you just really have to be careful not to tell a story, not to think that you're doing anything important, and not to take yourself too seriously. I think that's when you start to get into trouble. If you treat the songs for what they are, they're just like 2 to 3 minute little like nuggets of escape, and then you can, that's all they are. You just don't think about them and don't really think about changing the world. I mean, if you want to have an impact on the world, there's probably a billion things you could do other than start a band. Yeah. So
for the great part, it's just entertainment, I guess. Or
that's all it is. It's entertainment, and it's just I think that it's funny that especially the more bands I meet and the more people in the industry that you meet, that you think that people actually think that they're doing something important with their lives.
Yeah. Well, you got a very big name to hold for entertainment, I've heard. Just sort of live shows.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I mean, we have a great time. I mean, I hope eventually I find something I'd rather be doing, but for right now I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing. So, hopefully I'll get my shit together and go to medical school or something. But who knows?
Medical? Yeah.
Cool. Or you're actually doing some good for somebody. I don't know. I mean, it's fun. I mean, like I recognize the need for a good rock and roll band. I mean, I've been a fan of a band here or a band there, and if you strike a chord with people and you make people have fun for a while, then I guess that's a good thing.
Well, it seems to also be a good time to just the great rock and roll is back. I still read in the press, so.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is a good time for rock and roll. I mean, and there's a lot of bands out there with different takes on it. I mean, you take a band like Interpol or a band like us, and we're essentially drums, bass, and guitar, yet we sound completely different. It's not hard to to be different and stand out just by doing the same old formula over and over again. That's what's so great about rock and roll, is that you can get drums, bass, guitar together and come up with a million different ideas. And there's still a lot of stuff out there that nobody's ever heard, and it's just kind of cool to be a part of it for at least this year.
Yeah. What kinds of bands do you listen to yourself? Is it also rock and roll, but also different kind of things, or dance, or the blues, or?
I'm pretty much a glasses half full person. I like a lot of stuff. Like my favorite band, pretty much, since I was a teenager and probably to this moment, is the Talking Heads. It's really, I think that's about as good a band as you'll ever see. I like Jamiroquai. I like the Pixies. I like I like the Backstreet Boys. I like Madonna. I like Ladytron. It doesn't really matter to me as long as it's entertaining. I mean, there are the bands out there I don't like. I'm not going to name them in an interview, but it's like anybody. I mean, there's as long as you can dance to it or sing along to it or understand it, it's worthwhile.
So bands who are too pretentious about their art.
I think that's if you look at the bands I've listed, probably none of them are too pretentious about their art. That's important. I mean, you have to realize what it is. It's entertainment. It's songwriting, and it's fun. I mean, you hear a good song, you hear a song you like, an idea you like, then that's an important thing. But it's not too important. You can't nothing infuriates me more than somebody who thinks he or she thinks that they've done something by writing a pop song.
Okay. But still it seems that but it's very hard to write a good chorus, I guess.
I don't want to sound, but the thing is, it's like, for me personally, I've kind of realized it's one thing that I'm good at and can do. So it's not hard. I mean, this is like I'm here talking to you right now because for better or for worse, I can do that. I would love to be a doctor or an astronaut or something, but I just wasn't that good at math. So I think that's kind of it. I mean, I'm doing what I do now because I can't stop writing songs. And it's
something you do well, I guess. But it was at first not your ambition. I heard.
My ambition was to be a topless dancer, like a woman. I wanted to be a female. I wanted to be some sort of topless female dancer. I've always thought those girls. Or up in space, something. I've always thought dancing girls had the edge. What else did I want to do? Professional basketball, I thought would be a good profession as well. Acting is something I've always aspired to. There's so many things that I think are worthwhile. You can't do them all, but you can sure as hell try.
Okay, and talking about Electric Six. What exactly the next plans? Are you just you're touring Europe, I guess, or?
We're basically on tour till the end of 2003, and then we're gonna hopefully whip out our next record, like get it done quick, and get it out there. Yeah, I mean, I short term we just want to keep touring and keep recording, and then let the long term work itself out.
Do you actually write songs on the road, acoustically, maybe?
Oh, yeah. You have to. You have to use the time on the road. I mean, because you don't really have much other time. That's the irony, is that the more success you have, the less time you have to actually enjoy it. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Okay. Also, Pro Tools. Do you use it?
Yeah, we use the Pro Tools. We use it all. We're not purists. We don't. We're not afraid of using Pro Tools or computers to make music. That's retarded. This is the year 2003.
Do you like also the sounds of some organic sounds? Organic, like some use some amps that are from '62, or I don't know.
Sure, if it sounds good, but that's not that important to us. we'll use whatever we use to. I mean, to me, the recording should just sound good, and whatever method you use to get to that is, I've never been a record geek or like someone who had like some sort of romantic vision of what music should be. That's just not where I like to come from. I mean, I think if it sounds good, then it sounds good, and it doesn't matter if you had some sort of asexual robot doing it for you. That's fine. However you want to get to point A, as long as you got to point A, that's great.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great show at 8:30, I guess, here in the Lowlands.
8:30 indeed. That's the latest we've gone on this week, so we're really moving up.
Okay. Thank you, man.